Good morning, everybody. This is Evangelist Langford Stevens III. Welcome to Across the Table again with Evangelist. God bless everybody on this Wednesday morning. Rainy outside, but sunny inside. I just thank God for this whole year, the good and the bad. It's been some ups and downs, but I definitely learned some lessons along the way. Definitely learned some things. I hope you learn some things about yourself and learn to focus on yourself and not others. And as we get through these troubling times and things are going to turn around, I'm confident of that. Met a lot of great people this year. My new job. Met a lot of friends. Thank all my old friends that been sticking with me since day one. And, I just love all you guys, man. This time of the year is a good time of reflection. I want to give a shout out to all my family, my wife, my kids, my father, Langford Jr. in Ohio, my sisters in Ohio, my sister and brother here in Virginia. I just want to just thank God for my mother, and all those family members and friends that I have mentioned, and if I didn't mention you, that does not mean that I do not love you. Today's subject is a dear subject to my heart because this is the reason I do what I do. I want to talk about the power of the words "I love you." The power of the words "I love you." Love is um, is a word of affirmation and affection and deep caring. There's different ways we can take love when we receive it or when we're giving it out. But the power of the words "I love you" goes a long way in other people's lives. Some people haven't heard "I love you" growing up. They got tough love, or you have people who didn't hear those words growing up as a child, even in their own homes. And so when you tell somebody you love them, and they can be words of affirmation, acts of service, or even receiving gifts, or just spending quality time, or definitely a physical touch to their life. The words "I love you" go a long ways, and that's why God is love, and that's the most powerful force in the world today. Seems like we haven't seen much of that in these last years, under the circumstances, pandemic, and and all the violence that we have seen, racial violence and other things, issues that came along the way the last few years. But as I always said, that there's a period, definitely in the book of Proverbs. Not the book of Proverbs, the book of Ecclesiastes tells us about the seasons of life and the ups and downs that come with life, a time to laugh, a time to cry, and so on and so on. And so we have to roll with the seasons of life. But one thing that I can say about love, that love withstands all seasons. Somebody got to talk to me. Love doesn't require anybody to have money in their pocket. Love wakes up the dim eyes, and dries up the tears of sadness. Love really makes a person's day. Those words are crucial. In the past, I've never been more conscious as I am now on the power of "I love you" and the power of even a phone call to someone. That was one of my areas where I was weak in. I just didn't like to call or talk on the phone. Um, that's some of the things that my father used to tell me. It means a lot when you call somebody and check on them and tell them you love them. They might know it, but it means a lot just pick up the phone or go by and visit, especially before these times now. Um, and so I don't want us to wait till the holidays. Of course, the Thanksgiving it just passed, or the Christmas holidays to get a ooze and feeling of I love you. We want to have I love you in our hearts on a regular basis, because I know the fact that people that love me help me get through tough times just in saying they love me. It motivated me, kept me going, kept my head up, dried my tears up. And sometimes I just cry because I'm just so grateful for all you guys giving me an opportunity to come into your life and speak a word into your life. I hope it's, I'm not a perfect guy, but, I love people. That's the bottom line. And I try to give as much of myself as I can in the word and hope that I say something, man. Everybody that known me for so many years know you count on to hear something positive or something encouraging from life. But that's just who I am. As we get up in the world, we put titles on our, pastors, preachers, whatever we want to call ourselves. But the most important thing is that you know that I love you. And then you know that I mean what I say when I'm trying to encourage you to keep going. So today's teaching is going to be talking about the power of I love you. And we're going to go to 1 John chapter 4 and read about 3 verses in that chapter. 1 John chapter 4. I'm going to start at verse 10. I'm going to read from 10 to 13. And it reads, "In this love, not that we love God, but that he loved us and sent his son to be the propitiation for our sins. Beloved, if God so loved us, we also ought to love one another. No one has seen God at any time. If we love one another, God abides in us, and his love has been perfected in us. And by this we know that we abide in him, and he in us, because he has given us his spirit." God's spirit is a spirit of love. A lot of people don't know they even have God in them. And if they get directed and guided by the right people, they can grow in life because they already a natural loving person. But when you are identified by the love of God, that love supersedes any love on earth. God love will stay with you. It don't matter how low you fall, what circumstances you find yourself in. I was talking to a guy yesterday, and he said, Lanky, I listened to your messages, and I got into a little situation that was an enlightenment to me. And he said, I listen to your word on a regular basis, man. And I had a desire to stop doing certain things that I was doing. And then when I got in a situation, it brought some enlightenment to me to say, man, I want to change. I was looking for a reason to change. I didn't really want to get into a situation in order for me to change, but sometimes that's what it takes. But I want to say to that brother who I talked to yesterday, I love you, man, for even coming to me and talking to me about that. That means a lot to me. God is love. Period. If you have God in you, you're going to have love in you. Now I want to talk about this love for a minute. The power of I love you. And I just want you to listen to me. And I hope that it touches you like it touched me when I put it together and wrote it and studied it or whatever. It's small and it's short, but hopefully it'll touch your heart as much as it touched mine. Whenever I write about love, I can barely really get through it because, God has been so good to me. God has always allowed me to bounce back from any trial and tribulation that I have went through in life. I'm talking about so many near-death situations or whatever. God's love, His grace have redeemed me over and over again. I can't even stop loving the people who hurt me because that's the essence of who I am. And that's the essence of who you can be as well. When life don't throw you the right ball, it throws you curveballs and people disappoint you, let you down. Love, man. Get over it. Love them. It'll keep you going. And you'll grow. And they'll grow. Because you were able to love the individual through troubling times, through disappointment, through heartaches. And that's what it's all about. Just keep loving. Then if you had an hour to live and could make only one phone call, who would you call? What would you say? And why are you waiting? I want you to catch that. If you had an hour to live and could make one phone call, who would you call? What would you say? And why are you waiting? That's a message in itself for those who catch what I just said. Who knows what we're waiting for? Perhaps we want to believe we will live forever. Or someday we will get around to telling the people we love how much we love them. Whatever the reasons, most of us simply wait too long. It's not good reason. It's not a good reason to wait. And now's the time to let people know, definitely in these times, how much you care. Ideally, you can tell someone in person or over the phone. I wonder how many people have been on the receiving end of a phone call where the caller says, I just called to tell you how much I love you. Sometimes we just need to call people. Sometimes people see our phone numbers and they say, oh Lord, what is it now? As we move into this new year, this new transition, I want to encourage people right now. Call 2 or 3 people a day if you can. Don't hit them with no situation or nothing. Just tell them, I love you. And that's all I want to say. You can tell them you love them and hang up the phone. What a powerful message that's going to send to the transition that you're making in your life and how you are able to relate to people through love. You may be surprised that almost nothing else in the world means so much to a person than when you say and surprise them with the words, I love you. How would you like to receive the same message from a person? If you're too shy, if you're too prideful, or too busy to make such a phone call, sometimes it makes a difference to write a heartfelt letter or something to them and put it in the mail. Either way, you find that as you get used to it, letting people know how much you love them, it will become a regular part of your life. We need I love yous. The affirmation of affection and decay. We need that to be a regular part of our life. And it probably won't shock you to know that if it does, you probably begin to receive more love as a result of letting people know, informing people that you love them. Let's inform somebody today that probably think we don't like them, let alone love them. Let's tell them I love you. And for you tough guys out there, I was a tough guy too. In some cases, I still am a tough guy. Man to man, I love you. Ain't no homo, ain't nothing funny. It's just I love you. It means a lot. You know, you can part them lips, man. You ain't gotta be funny or whatever you know how we are as men. But telling another brother, I love you, mean a lot to a brother who's struggling, going through, can't find his way, don't have a Bible in his face all the time, been abused, been fired off his job, getting disrespected at the house. And here, hey man, I love you. Love you does a lot to the woman who been abused, the woman who was alone, feel like nobody's there for, the woman that works hard and never gets no credit, no respect, not even in her own home. I love you means a lot when you're going through. I found in life that the words I love you, it does some things. You know, I want to share a few things that I know that love does. It dries tears of sorrow. And I love you brings hope to the hopeless. I love you raises heads that are looking down. And I love you keeps suicide. Yeah, I said suicide from heaven is prey. I love you extends the strength of those who are feeling weak from the stresses of life. And I love you brings light back into a dark soul. The words I love you causes your enemies to be disarmed from plotting hurt on you. The words I love you brings God to my front door. And I love you brings joy to the hand that is empty. I love you. I love you. I love you. Brings joy to the hand that is empty and brings joy to the hand that I'm holding. I love you. Delivers forgiveness to those who felt they didn't deserve it. I love you is the most powerful word of expression. So let's use this power. And let I love you do its job and bring us all back together forever. I love you. It's going to be the words for this up and coming year. That's going to go right past Christmas. Not just gifts. We're going to love people for who they are, whatever background they come from. I always say if you're scared to shake a dirty hand, please go wash yours first. Because the hand that you may be shaking may be the hand that will make your hand clean. I love you. And I want to say today that I love everybody. The Bible tells us to love everybody as much as possible. We're not expecting to get along with everybody. We don't agree. Definitely don't agree with some things that we go through or people who take us through them. But we're going to crack the devil in his face. Because at the end of the day, love lasts forever. Because God is love. And God never dies. So we're not going to let our love die. Some of the times we went through and got people right now we don't even speak to. Family members and friends we don't even talk to no more. We want to change that in this up and coming year and this up and coming holidays and season. We don't want to be a seasonal lover. We want to love just because. Because I'm going to tell you something. Just hearing the words I love you got me a long ways. Especially during the trials and tribulations. I knew people loved me, so I felt like they counted on me to keep going because I knew they loved me. People love you. And if you ain't heard it in a while, or you know somebody ain't heard it in a while, get on their phone, text them, Zoom them, whatever methods of communication that you use, whether it's Facebook or whatever. Just say, I love you. No gifts necessary. I'm going to stand there with you. Through it all. I'm never going to stop loving you. God said, I'll never leave you and forsake you. If we get that in our spirit, and never leave or forsake anybody as far as our love, we will not only be better persons, we'll make the people around us better. I need you to get this in your spirit, man. I love you. Use that word, those words. Think about people. Think about what all God has taken us through and getting us through, and share that strength with somebody else. Share that love with somebody else. Share that testimony with somebody else. I love you. It's definitely going to change lives. Change perspectives. Give hope to the hopeless, like I said. Help people turn their lives around. Excuse me. I love you. I love you. Let's not only show it towards our family and our friends. Let's show it to people we see on a daily basis. I love you. Expand your territory on love and see if you don't receive it back in so many different ways. Show love without nothing, without expecting anything in return. God is definitely a God of love. And if we want to be good examples, don't judge nobody. Because the very person you're judging, it could be you in that situation. Don't look at nobody funny. Some people can't dress like you dress, or don't drive what you drive, or don't live in the house that you live in. Love them, man. Give people hope. Even if you ain't, preaching and teaching. Let people know you love them, man. When people know you love them, they got a reason to keep living and keep going. I'm a living example of that. You can't please everybody, but you can love everybody. We want to mend some broken relationships before 2021. Don't walk past people and not speak to them. Sometimes when they speak, say, hey, man, hey, I love you, man, this and that. Sometimes when I say that to people, they look at you, like with a weird look because they're not used to hearing that. We want to get used to hearing I love you. People say, wow, man, he said I love you, man. That's kind of different, especially a man to a man, And sisters to sisters. And I love you. Use those words. Trust me, it'll make your life more rich and more of a blessing than it is right now. Walk in love. And God will forever do well with you when you got love in your heart. You will receive the favors of God even when you don't deserve it, when you got love in your heart. Love is an action word that don't need no return. Love don't have no expiration date on it. I need you to love people all the way to the end. And even when they can't see you, still love them. So I challenge you and I challenge myself to reach out more and let people know how much you love them. People are wearing masks. Yeah. Not just because of the pandemic. Some people are hurting behind those masks. And even if you can't see their smile, and you only can see their eyes, just tell them you love them. Because you don't know what it's doing for their life. Nod your head at people when you walk past. Speak to people. Don't be so arrogant. Don't be so prideful. Notice the sad eyes around you. Sad faces around you. I said before, there's a lot of pain we all walking in. But we're going to start healing together by telling each other we love you. Because I love you lifts me up and lifts you up. We're going to lift up together. The power of I love you. Don't matter what circumstances we went through. I love you. Don't matter what you did to me. I love you. No matter how much hard times come my way or your way, I love you. Don't matter if you left me, I love you. Don't matter if you don't speak to me, I love you. Because we're walking in love. Very simple message, nothing complicated about it. The power of I love you, we're going to use that for the rest of our lives. Because we've seen enough in this last year to not take people or love for granted. A lot of people had to die alone without their families because of this epidemic. Sad. You won't want to find yourself in that position. So we give God the praise and the honor today. And we're going to say and show each other that we love each other. Regardless of what we're going through, we are strong. We're going to come through it together. In Jesus' name. God bless you. Until I see you again on Sunday, God's willing, I want to say, have safe holidays with your family. And say I love you to at least 2 or 3 people a day. And I can guarantee you, your life will change. And you'll start receiving the love that you're giving out. Until I see you again, God bless you.